Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio, where we're answering the very important question, what happens when a nation becomes contentious against those righteous that live within its borders? Because that's what's happening today in our country, in America, and I'm sure it's happening around the world to the church. It has been. America has been spared from it, but now today the wicked man is on the rise, and the man of treachery and the man of injustice, the man of deceit. Contenders are contending and striving against the church, and they're becoming bolder and bolder as the days progress. So what do? Well, we saw that in verse 1 we asked the question. Verse 2 we have the answer, the God of my refuge. Verse 3 we see the practicality of that because we go to God's own word. Send light, truth. They will give me rest. They will bring me to your holy mountain and to your tabernacles. So the word of God is our map, the light and the truth. When we are surrounded by oppression and darkness, you see, those two always go together. The darkened way, it comes because of the oppression of the enemy. So oppression and darkness are kind of like twins. They go hand in hand. Light and truth, they go hand in hand. So light and truth are always together. Darkness and oppression always together. So I'm asking for light and truth because I've got a dark way. I can't see. So he sends it. He sends it in the form of his word because his word is light. It's a lamp. It is truth. And so those things then guide me because I'm headed to the God of my refuge, but I can't see to get there. So the Word of God gives me that sight. It gives me light. It gives me a path to travel on. And notice how we go from a darkened way to today in verse 4 where we're standing before the altar of God. You see, we've made this progression from verse 2 now to verse 4. We are in a very different place than we were in verse 2. Let me read verse 4. So I will come to the altar of God, to the God of rejoicing. I will sing and give thanks with the lyre. Okay, notice I've translated this, so I will come to the altar of God. Now, as I said, we've made a progression. We started with the darkened way. We couldn't see our way to the God of refuge, but his light came. The Word of God became our map, our truth, our guide. It gave me rest. It brought me to the holy mountain. It brought me to the tabernacles. So now we have the action of the psalmist here, so I will come to the altar of God. So he's there at the tabernacles. The words brought him that far. Now he's going to come to the altar of God. So he is standing now before the place of intercession, the place where they meet. He's standing there to meet the God of his refuge. And what's he going to do? He's going to sing, and he's going to give thanks. He's going to do it with his instrument, with the lyre, it says. So we have the acts of faith here. Notice that it says, I come to the altar of God, to the God of rejoicing. I will sing and give thanks with the lyre. Well, wait a minute. We haven't had a resolution yet. We still have an unrighteous nation. We still have a man of treachery. We still have a man of injustice. We still have a man of oppression. We still have all of that happening. We haven't seen deliverance yet. I mean, he said by faith up there in verse 1, you will deliver me. From the injustice, you will deliver me. From the man of injustice, rather, you will deliver me. So we've seen the confession. We've not seen it played out yet, not in reality. And so now in verse 4, he comes to the altar of God. He's not complaining. He's not asking. He's not seeking deliverance. What does he do? He comes then in there and he sings and he gives thanks. How does he do that? He does it by faith. Because the Word of God has brought him to the altar of God, and the Word of God has said, God is your everlasting refuge. He is your hope. And with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, what else are we going to do? We're going to sing and we're going to give thanks. Whether it's on the sacred organ of my voice or whether it's on some instrument that I'm handy with, however I might do it, I come in and I give thanks and I sing praise to God, even in the midst of a day when an unrighteous nation and a man of treachery oppresses me. Join me again tomorrow. We'll finish off Psalm 43 by reading verse 5 on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.